Hello, I'm Marshal and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Let's start in Poland, where a joke turned into a full-blown exorcism drama in the Kremlin's media bubble. During a light-hearted radio interview, President Karol Nawrocki was asked whether he had ever met the ghost of Józef Piłsudski at the Belvedere Palace. And he joked, "Sure, we talk every day about the 1920 war with the Bolsheviks, about parliament, about international affairs." A tongue-in-cheek way of linking the past to the present, right? Cue Russian outrage. Maria Zakharova announced that Nawrocki was haunted by demons and needed to run to church. And the Moscow Patriarchate went even further than that. A priest claimed the president was practicing spiritism, a grave sin, and suggested he wasn't talking to Piłsudski at all. He was in fact conversing with the devil. I guess that Satanic Panic 2.0, even in Russia, wasn't on your bingo card, and yet, here we are.
Это в церковь ему надо бежать и говорить, что к нему бесы приходят. Понимаете, это так трактуется. Это трактуется только так. И никакие общения с так называемыми духами Пилсудского ни в одной из парадигм, о чем бы мы ни говорили, не является нормальным, не является адекватным. Понимаете? Ну, конечно, очевидно взаимосвязь между приемом препаратов и приходами так называемыми. Они так и называются – приходы.
Now, let's be clear. This was a metaphor. But in Russia, 1920 isn't just history. It is a livid scar. That's the year the Red Army was beaten by Poland, halting Bolshevik plans to spread the revolution westward. It remains one of Moscow's most humiliating defeats, which explains why even a joke about Piłsudski triggers a propaganda storm. So no, President Nawrocki isn't dabbling in the occult. He's just reminding Moscow that Poland already defeated Russian imperialism once and will do it again if necessary. That is the real demon that's haunting the Kremlin. Now onwards to Russia's energy sector, where officials are using their favorite phrase, "Everything is under control." Spoiler alert, whenever you hear that in Russia, it means exactly the opposite. Reality check. Nearly 40% of Russia's refining capacity is offline after Ukrainian drone strikes, the largest collapse in Russian history. Whole refineries have gone up in flames. Moscow is so short on fuel, it's importing gasoline from China. Is that your definition of under control?
Ситуация абсолютно контролируемая. Активно работает Министерство энергетики со всеми регионами в штабном режиме. Сегодня в целом у нас баланс спроса и предложения обеспечен по стране. Наблюдается отдельная проблема обеспечения по отдельным регионам, и в ручном режиме Министерство энергетики вместе с регионами решает эти вопросы и обеспечивает наличие и поставки соответствующих нефтепродуктов.
Meanwhile, inside Russia, drivers wait in lines that stretch for kilometers, often waiting for hours just to buy fuel. Manual mode in this case means one thing, namely chaos.
Федеральная трасса М12, Москва-Казань. Платная трасса, одна заправка на 150 километров. На каждой заправке 1,5-2 километра стоят очереди машин, чтобы заправиться. Вот сейчас покажу, что это такое, и когда это будет заправимся мы, это непонятно. Я насчитала перед нами 130 машин. В трассе туалетов нет, кафешек нет, ни попить, ни поесть, нигде ничего не купить.
So yeah, technically everything is fine if your definition of fine is empty pumps, imports from China, and the biggest refinery shut down in history. Now, in that case, relax comrades and enjoy the queue. Remember how Trump called Russia a paper tiger, and now Moscow responded, it's a bear, not the striped feline? Well, it seems at this moment, Russia is the dog in the rumors on fire meme. Refineries burn, fuel costs are through the roof, but you know what? This is fine. Vladimir Solovyov is desperately trying to rewrite history yet again. He says Russia showed mercy around Kyiv, retreated as a gesture of goodwill when Westerners promised a deal, and even claims Russia tried a single-show strike with the Oreshnik missile to warn the West, but the West just wasn't scared. Now let's unpack that in plain English, because there is a lot of lies to sift through here. With his take on recent history, Solovyov is taking the art of the retcon to a new level. I suppose Western screenwriters must be green with envy.
Мы в этой войне уж столько раз проявили милосердие, за которое были наказаны. Вот зачем мы отошли от Киева? Как жест доброй воли, потому что западники обещали, что сейчас Киев подпишет соглашение, а потом сказали, нет, давайте воюйте. А мы после этого нанесли удар по Западу. Мы каждый раз говорим, что нет, надо идти по пути эскалации, но мы не идем. Мы только один раз ударили Орешником, и то Запад не испугался. Мы кому пытаемся проявить милосердие и гуманность?
Now, the Kremlin publicly framed the spring of 2022 pullback as creating space for talks, but independent analysts and contemporaries reports show the Russian forces outside Kyiv suffered heavy losses and failed to seize the capital, forcing a withdrawal and a reset of objectives. In short, battlefield failure, not benevolence, not at all. Russia has developed and fielded the hypersonic Oreshnik missile and used it in strikes that were well interpreted as political signaling as much as being made for military effect. Its purpose, publicly and practically, has often been to intimidate audiences, not to change the strategic will of Western governments. Saying, we fired it once and weren't believed, flips reality on its head. The Oreshnik's launch was meant to send a message, not to be the final word on Western policy. Mercy? Well, no, at least not in the battlefield. In the studio, though, full mercy for anyone who believes the propaganda. Finally, let's go to the Kremlin's favorite intellectual theater, the Valdai Club. Every year, Putin sits down with carefully chosen experts to rehearse his role as global statesman, delivering something that's basically TED Talk if TED Talk decided to go into full villain mode. And this year, the flattery he received while doing this reached tsar-level heights. One moderator asks Putin, don't you sometimes feel like Alexander I at the Congress of Vienna, personally shaping a new world order? Here is what Putin had to say in response.
Вы себя не ощущаете иногда таким, знаете, Александром Первым на Венском конгрессе, который самолично вел переговоры о новом мироустройстве? Вот именно вы один.
Нет, не ощущаю. Значит, Александр I был императором, а я избранный народом президент, значит, на определенный срок. Это большая разница.
Right, let's take a break for a minute. First, comparing Putin to Alexander I, a tsar who redrew Europe after defeating Napoleon, is the most revealing slip his advisors could ever make, because that's exactly how Putin sees himself, a modern emperor. Second, the claim that he's just a president elected by the people is frankly laughable. Russia's elections are tightly controlled, with opposition jailed, media silenced, and results scripted in advance. Democracy in Russia is theater. It's staged for international consumption. So no, Putin isn't Alexander I, but he also isn't just a president. If it looks like a tsar, acts like a tsar, and wages war like a tsar, you don't really need a Congress of Vienna to figure it out. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.